Human beings are distracted beings. Human minds are distracted minds. And that's just how they are. And when we try and focus on meditation in particular, usually what happens is a lot of distractions come up. We get better at dealing with them. They lessen over time. But that's just what happens. And at difficult times, when things feel as though they're falling apart or are weird, if we feel worried or a bit scared, depressed, things are painful or sad, or if there's just a lot going on, there will be a lot more coming up. And you're probably fairly familiar with your own kind of regular distraction habits, the way your selfing generally manifests. And while in difficult times, much of what comes up may well be very important, valid concerns that you should be concerned about, and that there are things that we do need to figure out, we do need to plan, things that are objectively scary or worrying or annoying or painful, confusing, sad or whatever. But even at those times when these are very valid and objectively true things, even then there will be an element of selfing involved in our attitude to whatever comes up. Because almost anything that disturbs our focus in meditation is going to have some form of selfing involved in it, because any variety of grasping at or pulling towards or holding on to, or the flip side of pushing away or running away, is selfing in action in some way. Our ego processes in action. If you think of the 12 links, pretty much anything that happens after the feeling stage that arises from any kind of contact with anything, when anything arises in our consciousness, whether it's external or internal, anything that comes after that feeling that arises on the basis of that involves a form of active selfing, some form of active selfing, unless we've stayed in the gap long enough to make a skillful choice. So selfing is happening all the time, and that's just how things are, because we're human. And I think a lot more of this inevitably is going to go on in difficult times, because whenever we're stressed, that's when our ego processes tend to spring into action much more quickly. And annoyingly, just when we want to find some respite, some steadiness in meditation, as soon as we sit down, that's what happens. Quite often the opposite of what we are hoping for happens. So if you pay attention to what happens when distractions come up, when any of those feelings come up, thoughts, you will generally find that your attention, your energy, your focus is forwards. It's in a forwards direction. Even when we're running away, turning away, if you actually feel how your attention is, how your energy is, it's generally forwards. And I'm pretty sure that's because the self manifests most strongly, tries to establish at the front of the body, and in a forward direction. After all, we are very forward beings. All our sense organs are aimed forward. We've got this very, very good binocular vision that makes us able to focus very strongly forward. What makes us good hunter-gatherers. Our nose, our mouth, all facing forward. Even our ears, although they are, you could say, at the sides of our heads, they are shaped in such a way that they funnel sound in most efficiently from the front, so they are really aiming towards the front. So our attention is much more forward than other directions. And I think that's exactly the same whether we're encountering life in the physical world or in our thinking and imagining brains, our heart minds. I once spent quite a while experimenting in trying to feel the thoughts in my head, because that seemed to be where I was whisked up to with distractions and thoughts. So although there's always associated sensation in other parts of the body with the thought, I was trying to pay attention to whether I could feel my thoughts in my brain. And because the brain doesn't have the same nerves as other places, there isn't actually much sensation in the brain, so it's quite difficult. But the minimal amount of sensation I could feel was very much connected with my sense organs. It was, what I could feel was something in and behind the eyes, something around the mouth, something around the ears, depending on what was going on. And that made sense because our interaction with life in the physical world is mirrored by our inner life when we're not paying attention so much to the physical world. And we are such strongly sensual, sensed beings that that's where the activity is. So as our sense organs are all front-facing, it seems natural that our ego processes will be trying to establish via the senses and at the front of the body. And indeed there is a bit of a theory in some forms of Tibetan Buddhism that the ego manifests at the front of the body. So something that we can do that helps, that I find very helpful when a lot of distraction is going on and when I can feel my reactivity in various ways happening, is to direct our attention backwards, towards the back of the body. Keep it away from the front of the body. So that anytime anything comes up or pulls or pushes you away from meditation focus, from steadiness, you can just remind yourself to stay back and take your attention very deliberately backwards in the opposite direction to the way I believe all this other stuff is happening and draws us. So another thing that is quite helpful, if you can do this before you sit actually, is to just lie for a few minutes in semi-supine on something padded but firm, so you can really pay attention to those contact sensations in the back of the body, back of the head. And then when you move into your sitting position, trying to take a kind of body memory of that with you is very helpful. But for now, you can just make sure that you're sitting in as good a posture as you can give yourself today. Broad base, good earth contact, sitting bones, pelvis in that tilt that allows the spine to rise up as effortlessly as possible. Hands supported so that you can completely let go of the weight of your arms, and just tucking your chin in for a moment to make sure the head's aligned at the top of the spine. And noticing the contact sensations of your sitting bones, the flesh around the buttocks and thighs, with whatever you're sitting on. Just feeling that groundedness, that earthy support below. If you're on a chair, noticing the contact with the feet and the ground. And then, as you start to bring your awareness more inwards to your breathing, feeling how the living, breathing body moves with each in and out breath. Even if you're not distracted at the moment, rather than taking your attention where you might normally take it, to the rise and fall of the belly, the chest, see how it feels to take your attention to feeling the breath in the back of the body. Probably the most obvious place is in the upper body, because you can generally feel quite a lot of sensation of the rib cage opening, expanding, and then releasing at the back of the body. If you're wearing a bra, that's very useful because there's quite a lot of sensation with the bra strap at the back there changing. But even if not, you can still feel that slow opening, expanding of the upper back. The shoulder blades just gently moving apart a little bit with each in-breath and settling back down and towards each other with the out-breath. At the waist, if you've got a waistband on, of course, quite a lot of sensation there, but focusing on the waist level at the back. And as the stomach swells and the body there expands slightly, there will be a slight change of sensation at the back as well. And how much can you feel below the waist? The sacrum at the back, that bony triangle, which, although those bones are fused together there, there's quite a lot of, well, actually, there's a small amount of movement in and around there, with the sacroiliac joints connecting it with the rest of the pelvis. And the flesh of the back of the hips and the buttocks will move slightly. Just be moved by that sway of the whole body with each in and out breath. So just noticing how much you can feel at the back there. What happens when you breathe in there? And breathe out. If you can't feel much, you can take a couple of bigger breaths just to increase sensation enough for you to notice a bit more easily. And then you may have a sense of the whole of the spine. Although you're in this very upright position, it has still got its natural gentle curves in it. And although the spine is very central in the body, it's not at the back as we tend to think, the ends of the vertebra, the spines of the vertebra, are very near the back of the body. That's what they're sort of knobbly bits that you can feel at the back if you feel someone else's spine, or reach round to feel your own sometime. So the spine is active very much at the back of the body, near the flesh at the back, the muscles. You can have a sense of the whole back of the body echoing the shape of this spine, from your tailbone right up to the back of the neck, and the place where the head meets the spine, which is about level with your earlobes. Keeping your attention at the back. And how does the back of the head feel? You may, when you take your attention to the head, immediately notice some sensations in the face, in the front, but just see if you can direct your attention. Ask yourself to stay back and feel what you can right at the back of the head, the back of the skull. Going back down again through the back of the neck, feeling the back of the shoulders, opening, releasing, feeling those shoulder blades just gently swing back and forth, slightly away from the spine and back towards it with each in and out breath. The rib cage opening, moving against the spine, opening at the back and sides with each in-breath and releasing and relaxing down on the out-breath. That lumbar spine between the base of the rib cage and the pelvis. Gently flexing. feeling the flesh and the skin at the back there, moving with it. The back of the pelvis, the buttocks. So if you want to continue to do just this simple practice of staying back for a bit longer, you can do that. Or you could just move straight into doing the mindfulness of breathing with a backwards focus and see how that is. Or any meditation that you do, you can just remind yourself whenever you get distracted, whenever you feel your energy going forwards, whenever you feel your selfing happening in any obvious way, it'll probably be forwards. Whenever anything happens that pulls you out of your steadiness, your focus, just remind yourself to stay back and take your attention very deliberately towards the back of the body. If you've noticed a particular sensation, noticed a particular sensation arise connected to a thought of whatever kind in the body, it's more at the front, notice that and then go level with that place at the back. Just always take yourself back, stay back. When anything happens, just give yourself the simple instruction to stay back. So whether you're sitting with this for a bit more, just sitting to see how you are after doing this, going into mindfulness of breathing, or something else, or nothing at all, here's the bell.